3.8 billion, pero umabot na ng 7 billion yung gastos nila. It's a one-man, it has stealth capability, it can go very near a city and wreck that city all alone. It can defend itself. It has guns, it has missiles, it has cruise missiles, plus of course yung strategic pivot to Asia Pacific ng US. The Asia pivot, what is the Asia pivot? Meron silang puwersa sa Korea, may puwersa sa Japan, they're talking with Vietnam, they're talking to us, yung EDSA, yung EDCA, but this is now being reviewed, Expanded Defense Cooperation Agreement of our MDT, but this is being reviewed by the Supreme Court. Yung mga kaliwa, kinukontra ito. And then of course, yung Taiwan, and then din ang puwersa ng Taiwan, they deployed 2,500 Marines in Northern Australia. Sa Singapore, andyan yung mga LCS nila, yung Littoral Combat Ship. And then in Thailand, they're also talking with Thailand. And of course, they're objecting to using Thailand as a passageway, yung Kral Canal. And binarningan nila ang China to tread very carefully in the South China Sea. Naglabas sila ng bagong Asia-Pacific Maritime Security Strategy. And what is this? Forced posture and persistent presence. Ang sabi nila, the US will enhance its forced posture and persistent presence in the region while building the capacity of allies. And they support India also. India's Act East, pag sinabing Act East ang India, lalabas na sa Indian Ocean. It will be what they call the strategic convergence, a rebalance, using, embracing India as a net provider of security in the Indian Ocean. US to warn China with more military, humanitarian exercises in the South China Sea. This was August 15. Nagbigay sila ng warning dito na they'll become more active. And Japan is there also. Japan is considers the South China Sea as very important to their security. They plan to expand their Navy patrols and include the South China Sea. Dati hanggang East China Sea lang sila. Tapos yung defense reform nila, no? First, they announced this noong May 19. Naglabas sila ng mga bill, and these two bills went through a lot of debate in their parliament. So finally, na-approve nila itong bill nila. Ano ito? Sabi nila dito, when Japan is attacked, or when a close ally is attacked, and the result threatens Japan's survival and poses a clear danger to people, so they can mobilize their assets overseas. Kasi muna, yung self-defense force nila, kailangan within the territory of Japan. But they have changed this so that they can go outside if a close ally is attacked. Who is a close ally? I think the Philippines is part of that. When there is no appropriate means available to repel the attack and ensure Japan's survival and protect its people. Kaya yung tinatawag natin first island chain, second island chain. Pag nag-succeed yung, naalala niyo, second island chain, nasa loob na yung Japan doon. Use of force is restricted to a necessary minimum. At ito pinagdebatihan nila sa diet nila, yung parliament nila, this was how they debated in their parliament. Iba sila magdebate doon, hindi tulad sa atin, no? Ganito sila magdebate doon. Ayan, nagdebate sila dyan. Dati, the Constitution prevents them. Now, it will be possible for Japanese troops to fight overseas. Troops can now be deployed overseas. So that's the change of strategy of Japan. And they came out with a record defense budget, and it increased the tension with China. because their defense budget is about $42 million. Yung pinakamalaking feature ng defense budget nila, well, of course, they have the Izumo, no? It's a very big helicopter carrier, about 800 feet long, but it is capable of being converted for fixed-wing aircraft. Pwedeng ma-convert ka agad dyan, no? Ito yung Hyuga helicopter destroyer. They're very good in building submarines. In fact, Australia is looking at them as a possible source of new submarines. They have very good Aegis missile destroyers. Atago class, malalaki ito. Congo class. And they have a very big air force. 213 F-15 made by Mitsubishi. 89 F-2. Itong F-2 na to is a very capable Japan-made fighter plane. And they ordered 42 F-35A multi-role fighters, top of the line, no? And another 28 added to their defense budget. So kung natapos ito, you're talking about 70 new F-35A. At pag na-deliver ito by next year, or even 2018, or 2016, or 2017, China will have nothing to match itong mga F-35A nila. This will be a game changer in the East China Sea and even in the South China Sea. Yan yung F-35 Lightning. And then they showed off their naval power. Just the other day, they had a fleet review. Ito yung fleet review nila, pero hindi lang sila ang nagpasikat dito. They were joined by vessels from India, South Korea, Australia, France, and the United States participated dito sa ano. Meron silang andun yung Ronald Reagan, the big aircraft carrier. Nakabase sa Japan yan. 50 vessels and 61 aircraft. Their biggest warship, yung Izumo, yung pinakita ko kanina, were there also. And just to show the changing realignment of forces in the Pacific area, yung commander ng 3rd Fleet, yun yung 7th Fleet, sa lugar natin yan, no? Western Pacific. Yung 3rd Fleet, dumanda sa may California. But the commander of the 3rd Fleet, who happens to be a lady, Vice Admiral Nora Tyson, joined the fleet review and even boarded the ship where Prime Minister Abe was, just to dramatize the closeness and the emerging redeployment of U.S. forces in the Pacific area. India is there also, and India is not small. They already made an announcement that they're going to monitor shipping in the South China Sea. They also said they will not hesitate to use naval power to protect their economic interests in the South China Sea. And their principal economic interest in the South China Sea is oil, because they have a joint project. There's a joint project with Vietnam. Ano ba ang power ng India? Malaki. Pero silang dalawang aircraft carriers. Nauna pa sila sa China. They are one of the 10 or 12 countries in the world that know how to operate aircraft carriers. Na meron ng mahaba ng... by the way, ang pag-operate ng aircraft carrier, from what I learned in my studies, it takes about 10 years bago mo ma-master ang paggamit ng aircraft carrier. Kaya yung China, kahit na may bago silang aircraft carrier, Liaoning, medyo bago pa lang sila dyan. Yung India, matagal na. Meron silang Akula class nuclear submarine, Kilo class submarines, stealth frigates. In fact, they can build their own stealth frigates. Meron silang ginagawang their own aircraft carrier, the INS Vikram, na-launch na nila yan. Tapos they're ready to move their platform into the South China Sea. Ito, binabantayan na rin ito kasi nag-warning ng China rito. Don't do it. But they plan to do it. To deploy their own oil rig, oil platform doon sa lugar ng Vietnam. So ito warning ng China. So medyo nagkakaroon na ng tension yung dalawa, China and India. Naglabas na ng propaganda, lumabas sa CNN ito, no? Ang India about the latest warship. Parang ano ito formahan talaga. parang ito, kaya mo ba ito? Lalabas sila. So sabi ng China, marami sila, naglabas sila ng India. Ito yung kanilang pinagmamalaki ngayon. It's a big destroyer, 7,500 tons. 30 knots. Can attack targets several hundreds of miles away. Ayan, so yun ang saywar ng India. Kaya magkalala ang Philippines, malapit na maglabas ng So, ito yung emerging security quartet in the Indo-Pacific. Sino yung mga yan? Yung emerging India, Australia, Japan, and the US to reorient their military postures. And Australia is there. Dati malaki Australia, may sarili silang aircraft carrier noon, yung Melbourne, pero wala na yun. But they have frigates and they have submarines, pero medyo matanda na yung mga submarines sila, and they plan to replace this with submarines maybe made in Japan. Australia also raised strongly Chinese aggression in the South China Sea and urges India to act. Sabi nila, India, sama na tayo dito. Nung nagbago ang gobyerno ng Australia, napalitan, pumasok si Malcolm Turnbull, a lot of people were worried, baka mag-iba attitude nila, but hindi naman. Because one of the first statements made by Prime Minister Turnbull was to say, China pushing the envelope. Ibig sabihin niyan, China is stretching the limit. Parang medyo sumusobra na. And yung Defense Secretary nila, who happens to be a lady, also delivered a very strong message that they will oppose intimidation and aggression. It's a warning to China. They consider China's provocations as a possible plus point. Vietnam is there also. Vietnam's economy is not as big as our economy, but somehow they're able to invest a lot of money for their military build-up. And that's understandable that immediate neighbor nila. Magkatabi sila sa dagat, magkatabi sa lupa, sa China. And they recently ordered $3.2 billion worth of Kilo-class submarines from Russia. 6 of them. Ito yung Kilo-class. And I understand that 3 of them have been delivered already. Pag ito na-deploy ng maayos, nagamit ng maayos, this is going to be a danger to the PLA Navy in the South China Sea. Mahirap din labanan ito. Kaya yung question, saan pa ang Russia? Saan pa pumapanig ang Russia? We don't know. Sometimes Russia seems to favor China, pero bakit nila aarmahan yung Vietnam na kalaban ng China? Bakit nila bibigyan ng weapon? So, we don't know what's going to happen there. And that's Vietnam. They have Sukhoi planes, they have submarines. Ito naman yung mga combatant ships, no, in the area. Ito yung China. And then here are the other powers, Japan, Indonesia, 303. Philippines ito. Ito naman yung Maritime Law Enforcement. Yan yung Bureau of Fisheries nila, yung Coast Guard, Maritime Surveillance. China, ito yung China 205, Japan 78, Vietnam 55, Philippines 4, Malaysia 2, Indonesia 8. Sobrang dami. Ito yung mga white ships na tinatawag. Mga puting vapor, pero ginagamit nila pang bangga, pang intimidate, Saka yung